Kap and J Hood, I love that guy so much as a mentor, as a friend, as a teammate, as a confidant, and one of the toughest, meanest, great human beings ever, man. And
we started the show talking about our colleague here at ESPN 1000, Steve Mongo McMichael. Mongo would still be one of our pregame or postgame hosts if he hadn't gotten sick with ALS. So I always say it's our colleague because he hasn't been around, obviously, because of what he's dealt with, and he passed away yesterday. And
67, man.
He is he's a great football player, as we all know, but also such a great personality. And we have a hole in our heart today for someone that we all enjoyed watching for many years.
Yeah, quality human, great teammate, and to see how he handled it with such class and grace, and Jarrett Payton with some amazing words that Mongo had shared with him, it was just very sad.
All right, we turn to a Super Bowl champion now.
What time is it?
It's Thayer Thursday. Tom Thayer. 1985 Super Bowl champion and football analyst for the Chicago Bears.
Compete to win the division, get into the playoffs.
Former offensive lineman.
Do they need to get better? Do they need to give up less sacks? Yes, of course.
Tom Thayer. It's Thayer Thursday on Kap and J Hood, ESPN Chicago.
Tom is on the Yuengling hotline.
Yuengling, the oldest brewery in America.
He joins us here on the Kap and J Hood Morning Show. Tom, as always, we appreciate the time.
Oh, anytime for you guys. I'm glad to be here.
It's a good day that it's draft day. It's a sad day that Steve McMichael passed away. He's no longer suffering, thank goodness. Your thoughts, your memories of him as one of your teammates?
Kap and J Hood, I love that guy so much as a mentor, as a friend, as a teammate, as a confidant, and one of the toughest, meanest, great human beings ever, man. And he inspired you from the locker room to the weight room to the practice field to the game field. And, you really, Ming was so much smarter than he allowed people to know. There was a perception and a reality of McMichael. There was a perception of him being Mongo, the football player, wrestler, tough guy that he was. But behind the scenes, he was a super intelligent man, both in, worldly type things in sports and all the different influences he could be on you. And so I have a picture of the first day I went to visit him after he was diagnosed, and and he looks at me and goes, Tommy, this is the reason I got this disease. He goes, because I'm the only one tough enough to handle it. And no truer words have ever been said, because from the time that he was diagnosed to his final hours, he showed a resilience and a toughness that I don't know if I'm capable of doing what Steve did. And so there's going to be a lot of really nice things that are said about him, and they're all true. Ming is and was just a great, great person.
Tom, it's funny, you were talking about Mongo with us last week or a couple weeks ago, talking about having an alpha male in the locker room, but also someone to influence others. So tell us about that dynamic of the person that he was, that, hey, he's an alpha in the locker room, but also can get people up to snuff in that locker room as well.
I'll tell you a great story, and it affected me. And so we were down in Atlanta practicing the week before, I think, the Super Bowl. We went down there, practiced for a week, and then we came home and then went to New Orleans. And so my brother-in-law played in Atlanta for 11 years, so I was super familiar with the facility and the locker room and the weight room and everything. And it was a small weight room that had these cowboy saloon-type doors on it that swung open and closed. And I was having a hurdle of trying to bench press 500 pounds for the first time. And so I'm in there. Clyde Emmerich is going to give me a lift off. I have the bar loaded. And I have the bar loaded with 495 pounds on there. Mm-hmm. Because some reason when you're lifting a lot of weight, it's really hard to have these incremental gains throughout the course of time. So up there, and I'm laying down, and I'm getting ready, and all of a sudden the doors are kicked open, and they, sound just like a saloon and back in the Western. And I look up, and it's Ming, and he goes, "Put the 2.5s on each side, you sissy." And so I got up. Clyde put a 2.5 on one side. I put a 2.5 on the other side. And I did it, and I benched 500 for the first time in my life. And it's only 5 pounds, but it's a mental obstacle that I couldn't get over. And so it was not on the football field, and it wasn't in the meeting room, and it wasn't game time. It was a post-practice weightlifting session that it meant enough to him to get up out of his locker, come in there, kick the doors open, make his presence known, and then he led with inspiration. And I'm trying to tell a true story and not, being a self-serving story. It was all about Ming that got me over that hump. And so when you're talking about what does Steve do for a football team outside the white lines, that's just one of the small things that Steve did for me personally, but he did it for every other guy. If he ever went into our weight room on Friday afternoons, Ming organized this thing called the Friday Afternoon Pump Club. And for no other reason, it's just a bunch of guys from the football team that are going in there and just in the weight room doing curls and stuff like that. And Ming was the inspirer of that. And a lot of guys there that, weren't necessarily dedicated weightlifters took his lead by example, and they all became better football players and stronger guys that benefited our football team because of him.
He was a great teammate here. He was a great teammate for you as a football player. And I know if he was still here doing this, he would love this day because it's the NFL draft. You and Jeff will do a great show tonight around all the picks, especially what the Bears do at 10. What does your gut tell you? Because they've got a prayer circle that I'm not in here.
Right.
They want Mason Graham. I want a left tackle simply because I look at where the Bears are at. I'm not the biggest Braxton Jones guy, but I think he's an okay football player. He's out of contract at the end of the year. I need someone in my system a year early. Where are you on left tackle?
I don't, there's, obviously Will Campbell, he's the sexy pick. Calvin Banks Jr., he's a good pick. Connerly from Oregon, he's another good pick. And I'm sure they have their sights set on a couple of other guys that, maybe need a little bit of time for development. But, I want the guy that really has the ability to turn into a NFL quality offensive lineman that can hold down the position for years. Because, I guess there's a lot of examples because of I'm missing his, the right tackle for the Detroit Lions.
Penei Sewell.
Penei Sewell. They brought him in there, and he was going to play right tackle. And then they had some injury issues on the left tackle side, and then they explored the possibilities of him playing left tackle. But he wanted to play right tackle, and that's where he's been a dominator ever since that he's had a chance to develop. And so I guess you need that guy. I know there's been a little bit of talk about the possibility of moving Darnell Wright to the left side. But if he's not as good as he can be on the right side, then I just think that you're interfering with the development of the offensive line and what he can do next to Jonah Jackson and what hopefully he can do for the next 7 to 10 years. And but I'm still left tackle, defensive tackle, safety, strong. That's kind of where I would like to go with the draft. But we've been talking about it, you guys, for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and including your prayer group. It's the most unpredictable draft in the last 25 years. So sitting there, you think there's 10 minutes in between each first-round pick. And so in that time from the commissioner goes there and announces the first team that's on the clock, my phone's open. Everybody knows my number, and if you want to wheel and deal, if you want to give me multiple picks in the second round, then let's talk. Let's have a conversation. And if you think that the 3 or 4 guys that you targeted that are the most important to your football team and they're gone, then let's start moving.
What you brought up, Tom, regarding Darnell Wright is something that we haven't talked about because Poles opened that door for a reason. Let's go back in time a couple of days ago where Poles talks about Darnell Wright, left tackle.
Yeah, I think that's a conversation. We'll see how everything goes. He clearly has the ability to play left and right. We saw that in college. Yeah. That was part of the value in taking Darnell. So if he had to play left, I think he'd play left. And obviously I think we're all excited about his stuff to go right.
At this point in time, Braxton Jones is not ready to go, but we're not at training camp yet, Tom. So for him to open that door, how difficult would that be for Darnell Wright to make that leap to go to left tackle to protect Caleb's blind side?
I don't know if there's necessarily a blind side anymore in the NFL with RPOs, with shotgun, with 3-step drops, getting the ball out of your hand. But, it's never a guarantee that a guy that has made a career out of right tackle can make that transition because the balances, the footwork, the second step recovery is all so much different than if you have been a career right tackle. And I know Darnell has played a little bit of left tackle in his career, but Dan Rosar, the new offensive line coach, he said a couple interesting things about the development and the possibilities of Karan Amagaji, because here's a guy that does have the left tackle template. He did look good out of the stance when he was working on the side before he started playing and reconditioning his body after that quad injury. So I would like to feed Karan Amagaji as much work as I could possibly give him in this preseason to see if he can honestly develop into a tackle. And then if I make a definite decision that he can, then I'm going to keep moving forward with that. If I feel that he doesn't have tackle traits, then he's immediately going to go inside and compete at the offensive guard position. So there's a couple of the great unknowns going into the season, the day of the draft, that Braxton's recovery from a lower body injury that slows the strength process of your legs. Karan Amagaji, a guy that's really hasn't faced the type of talent that he will on a play-by-play basis at the NFL level if he has those traits. So I think there's still a lot more exploration that you have to do. But if Ryan and his staff feel that there's a left tackle out there that you can designate your go-to guy, then by all means, let's pick him and make the offensive line more competitive. And one more thing is, when you listen to what the Philadelphia Eagles are thinking about this draft, and even though they lost a couple of defensive linemen to free agency, they're already talking about how they're going to pick Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. So it's not something that, okay, let's get by with the guys we have. No, if we lost a couple of guys, let's continue to reload the offense and defensive line. So that's why I think it would be important for the Bears to continue upgrading and reloading the offense and defensive line.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I heard an interview with Howie Roseman, and the last question, the guy said, "You guys have so many linemen. When do you not draft a lineman?" He said, every time you think you have enough offensive and defensive linemen, take another one.
Exactly.
I loved it.
Yeah. And that's a philosophy that's gone back to Jim Finks in the 60s. And you look at the teams that he's worked for and his process of picking in the draft and the different guys that he brought along the way, and smart enough to pick all these players that made the Bears of what they were in the 80s. But I still think it's a philosophy that stands strong today.
What interests you most in this draft, Tom? Because it is wild. It's what Ryan Poles says. It could be wild. As a college football fan, I like Cam Ward, don't love Cam Ward, and I looked through this, and I think Abdul Carter could be one of the best players in this draft. Is there anything that stands out to you, as far as the first round is concerned? Because it just kind of an okay draft based on what I remember on Saturdays.
Yeah, I'm with you. I guess it is just an okay draft. And, the limited of bona fide five-star guys, and that's Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. I think Ty Warren is a guy that could come in and really contribute in a lot of different ways, from online point of attack tight end to backside tight end to short yardage and goal line tight end to H-back and to fullback. And so just the amount of contributions that he could make, I think it could really help your football team a lot. But I don't know. The thing about it, I get not a kick out of it, but I think of when you go back to the combine a couple of years ago, Anthony Richardson, he had all these shocking types of numbers from the combine, and all of a sudden Chris Ballard from the Indianapolis Colts said, this is the guy we're going to pick, and we're going to go, we're going to go to bat with him. And you see how it's been a failed attempt so far. If Jalen Milroe would have run at the combine, would he be now in the first round conversation just because he would have went out there and ran that low 40 he ran, and also now people are assuming that he can be a quarterback because he ran a great 40? And those are the types of things that you have to be leery of making sure, this guy is, his ladder is going to reach the sky. But that's never a certainty, because what you face in college, it's going to be a whole different monster the first day you get onto an NFL field when all the veterans are there, not just rookie minicamp.
Hey, man, before we let you go, in terms of running back, and I know Ashton Genty's a great player. I'm not denigrating the man as a player at all. Do you want a back that is better in pass protection than maybe we've had? Do you want a running back that is just breakaway speed as a runner, a more power guy? What type of back do you want? I like Travion Henderson because he's fast, he can catch, but he's a beast in pass protection.
Yeah, so is Hampton out of North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about it is I want a running back that when I put him in a game, he doesn't alert what the analytics say they do when he's in the game. If you have a back, going back to a guy like Walter, there was never like a preemptive determination of what they do most of the time when he's in the backfield. If you have that guy as capable of a first, second, and third down back, I think it gives you a lot more opportunity from the line of scrimmage. And then when you talk about Ben Johnson wanting to use Caleb under center, and he's a play action pass type of guy, it gives you the opportunity to get the defense leery of what you're going to do with the running back, provide more of a fake when you apparently look like you're going to hand it to the running back, and then get your receivers in a better position so they can have run after catch opportunities. And so if you have a guy that's analytically hard to predict what they're going to do when he is in the backfield, I think it gives you a lot more options at the line of scrimmage.
It'll be you and Jeff Joniak at 6 o'clock covering the first round of the draft from Soldier Field, correct?
Yes, sir. Well, we're also going to be on with Waddle and Sylvie earlier in the day, too.
Okay. Well, I would imagine that you were asked to go to Green Bay, and I think you turned it down. You said, I'll do it at Soldier Field. Thank you.
Yes. I don't want to go to Green Bay for anything other than a Bears-Packers game. And so I love the fans being a part of the draft show, and excited to see who we pick at 10.
Have a great day, and let's have the prayer circle, you and I, for a left tackle.
How about you be in a circle by yourself, jerk?
He wants a left tackle with me.